In this story, we dive into the tumultuous life of Rachel, a young woman whose past is marked by infidelity and heartbreak. At 28, Rachel has left a trail of broken relationships, including a disastrous engagement with her ex-fiancé Ethan. Struggling with the consequences of her actions, she embarks on a journey of self-discovery and healing. Through therapy, new friendships, and the support of a group dedicated to overcoming personal demons, Rachel learns to confront her past and build a brighter future. Join us as we explore the raw, emotional journey of healing the heart of a cheating wife. Rachel sat alone in her minimalist, stark apartment, the walls adorned with abstract art that mirrored the chaos she felt inside. At 28, she had experienced more tumultuous relationships than most people her age. It wasn't just the 4-year-long engagement that had ended disastrously, it was how she ended it, cheating with more than 20 men, including close friends of her ex-fiancé, Ethan. She pondered her actions, not with regret but with a critical curiosity about her motivations. The glow of the town lights invaded her space as she flicked through her phone, avoiding the string of notifications from dating apps and old flames. The silence of the apartment weighed heavily on her, punctuated only by the distant hum of traffic and the occasional siren that reminded her of the town's restless energy. It was the same energy that once fueled her reckless escapades. "I'm a horrible girlfriend," she whispered to her reflection in the mirror, not for the first time. The reflection stared back, unblinking, a stark acknowledgement of her self-proclaimed title. She had always been brutally honest about her flaws, warning any man who dared enter her life about her storied past. "They think they can change me," she scoffed lightly, tracing the cool, smooth surface of the mirror with her fingertip. Rachel's apartment, though minimalist in decor, carried a sense of organized chaos. The living room was dominated by a large, gray sectional sofa, its cushions neatly arranged, yet the coffee table in front of it was strewn with magazines, a half-empty cup of coffee, and an array of electronic devices. A large window provided a view of the small town below, its streets illuminated by the soft glow of street lamps. The kitchen, visible from the living room, was equally stark. Stainless steel appliances gleamed under the overhead lights, and the countertops were mostly bare, save for a few essential items. A solitary plant sat on the windowsill, its green leaves a stark contrast to the otherwise monochrome palette of the apartment. Tonight was different. As she stood there, a growing sense of exhaustion from her own lifestyle choices crept up on her. The thrill of the chase, the adrenaline of secret rendezvous, all had lost their sheen. Her engagement to Ethan had been fraught with fights over her infidelities, his anger issues only worsening with each confrontation. 4 months ago, she had left him, propelled not by a desire for another escapade but by a deep-seated need to escape the toxicity that had enveloped her life. The nights in the small town were quieter than in the city she once lived in. The faint sounds of traffic and occasional footsteps of late-night wanderers provided a soothing backdrop, a stark contrast to the inner turmoil Rachel was experiencing. She had moved here hoping for a fresh start, away from the reminders of her past mistakes, but found that the change of scenery did little to silence her thoughts. Rachel moved to the small, cluttered desk in the corner of her living room. Papers and notebooks were scattered across its surface, evidence of her attempts to find some direction in her life. She sat down, flipping through a journal she had started keeping at the suggestion of her therapist, Dr. Blake. The entries were sporadic and disjointed, mirroring the chaotic state of her mind. "I need to fix this," Rachel muttered to herself as she picked up a pen and started writing. Her handwriting was messy, the words a stream of consciousness that flowed from her mind to the page. She wrote about her past relationships, the thrill she felt when cheating, and the inevitable guilt that followed. She wrote about Ethan, the love they once shared, and how she had destroyed it with her actions. As the words filled the pages, Rachel felt a sense of release. Writing about her feelings helped her make sense of them, even if just a little. She glanced at her phone, noticing the time. It was getting late, but sleep seemed like a distant possibility. Her mind was too active, too restless. Deciding it was time for a change, she had begun to seek therapy, attending weekly sessions that she initially scoffed at. These sessions slowly peeled back the layers of her impulsive behavior, revealing insecurities and fears she had long buried under a facade of indifference. Through these revelations, she realized that her view of relationships was skewed, her emotional detachment a defense mechanism rather than genuine disinterest. Rachel's therapist, Dr. Blake, had a calm and reassuring presence. He was in his late 40s, with a kind face and eyes that seemed to understand more than they let on. His office was a warm and inviting space, filled with comfortable furniture and shelves of books. Rachel often found herself staring at the titles during their sessions, wondering if any of them held the answers she was seeking. Rachel, it's important to understand that your actions, while hurtful, are a result of deeper issues, Dr. Blake had said during one of their sessions. We need to explore these issues and address them if you want to change. Rachel had nodded, though she wasn't entirely convinced. Therapy seemed like a long and arduous process, and she was impatient by nature. But as the weeks went by, she began to see the value in it. Dr. Blake's insights helped her understand herself better, and for the first time in a long while, she felt a glimmer of hope. As she turned away from the mirror, her phone buzzed with a reminder of her next therapy session. This time, she didn't feel the usual resistance. Instead, there was a flicker of hope, a tiny spark that suggested maybe, just maybe, she could find a way to break the cycle. She grabbed her jacket and headed out into the night, the town's quiet streets a fitting backdrop to her thoughts. The night air was cold, a sharp contrast to the warmth inside her apartment. Rachel wrapped her jacket tighter around herself as she walked down the dimly lit streets. The town was mostly asleep, with only a few people still out and about. She passed by a small cafe, its windows glowing invitingly, and considered stopping in for a coffee, but decided against it. She needed to clear her head, not fill it with more caffeine. Rachel's therapy sessions were held in a small, unassuming building nestled between a bustling cafe and a quiet bookstore. The sound of light rain pattered against the sidewalk, a gentle reminder of the changing seasons. As she stepped inside, the warmth enveloped her, a stark contrast to the chill she had become accustomed to, both outside and within her own heart. The waiting room was cozy, with comfortable chairs and soft lighting. Rachel checked in with the receptionist, a friendly woman in her 30s, and took a seat. She glanced around the room, noticing the other patients. Some looked nervous, others resigned. They were all here for their own reasons, each carrying their own burdens. Rachel's thoughts drifted as she waited. She thought about Ethan, about the love they once shared and how it had turned into something toxic. She thought about the men she had cheated with, the fleeting moments of pleasure that never seemed to last. And she thought about Ryan, the man she had met in her therapy group who seemed to understand her in a way no one else did. The door to Dr. Blake's office opened, and a woman emerged, looking visibly relieved. Rachel took a deep breath and stood up, smoothing down her jacket. It was her turn now. "Rachel, come on in," Dr. Blake greeted her with a warm smile. His office was just as she remembered, a safe haven from the chaos of her mind. She took a seat in the comfortable chair across from his desk, feeling a sense of calm wash over her. "How have you been, Rachel?" Dr. Blake asked, his voice gentle. Rachel hesitated for a moment, then began to speak. She told him about her reflections on her past, her fears about the future, and her hope that therapy could help her change. Dr. Blake listened intently, nodding occasionally, and when she was finished, he leaned forward, his expression serious. "Rachel, change is never easy, but it's possible. You're taking the right steps by coming here and being honest with yourself. Remember, this is a journey, and every step you take brings you closer to the person you want to be." Rachel nodded, feeling a sense of determination. She was ready to face her demons and work towards a better future. As she left Dr. Blake's office, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in a long while, she believed in herself. The walk back to her apartment was peaceful. The rain had stopped, leaving the streets glistening under the streetlights. Rachel's mind was calmer now, her thoughts more focused. She knew there was still a long way to go, but she was ready to take the first step. Back in her apartment, Rachel sat down at her desk and opened her journal. She wrote about her session with Dr. Blake, about the hope she felt, and about her determination to change. The words flowed easily, a reflection of her inner resolve. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Rachel put down her pen and leaned back in her chair, feeling a sense of accomplishment. She had taken the first step on her journey towards healing, and for the first time in a long while, she felt hopeful about the future. The road ahead was uncertain, but she was ready to face it, one step at a time. Rachel had been feeling the weight of her past decisions more acutely with each passing day. Her nights were filled with restless sleep and her days with a sense of purposelessness. One chilly evening, she found herself sitting on her apartment's balcony, the cold air biting at her skin as she wrapped a thick blanket around herself. The town below was quiet, the occasional car passing by the only break in the silence. She stared out at the twinkling lights of the small town, her mind a whirlwind of thoughts. She knew she needed to change, but the path forward seemed daunting. Her phone buzzed on the table beside her, pulling her out of her reverie. It was a message from her friend, Emily, who had been urging her to seek help for months. "Hey Rach, just checking in. Have you thought any more about therapy? I really think it could help you." Less than 3. Rachel sighed, her breath visible in the cold air. Emily had been a constant source of support, but Rachel had resisted the idea of therapy for a long time. She didn't want to confront her past, didn't want to face the pain and guilt she had been avoiding. But sitting there, alone in the cold, she realized she couldn't keep running forever. She picked up her phone and typed a quick reply. "Yeah, I've been thinking about it. Do you have any recommendations?" Emily's response was almost immediate. "Absolutely. I know a great therapist, Dr. Blake. He's helped a lot of people I know. I'll send you his info." Rachel's heart raced as she received the contact details. It felt like a huge step, one that she wasn't sure she was ready for. But she knew she had to try. The following week, Rachel found herself standing outside Dr. Blake's office. It was a small, unassuming building nestled between a bustling cafe and a quiet bookstore. She took a deep breath and pushed open the door, stepping into the warmth of the waiting room. The receptionist, a friendly woman with a warm smile, greeted her. "Hello, you must be Rachel. Dr. Blake is expecting you. Please have a seat, he'll be with you shortly." Rachel nodded, her nerves on edge as she took a seat in one of the comfortable chairs. She glanced around the room, noticing the soft lighting and the calming artwork on the walls. It was a stark contrast to the turmoil she felt inside. After what felt like an eternity, the door to Dr. Blake's office opened, and a woman emerged, looking visibly relieved. The receptionist gestured for Rachel to go in. "Rachel, come on in," Dr. Blake greeted her with a warm smile. He was in his late 40s, with kind eyes that seemed to understand more than they let on. His office was cozy, filled with comfortable furniture and shelves of books. Rachel took a seat in the chair across from his desk, feeling a sense of calm wash over her. "How are you feeling today, Rachel?" Dr. Blake asked, his voice gentle. Rachel hesitated, then decided to be honest. "Nervous. Unsure. But I know I need to be here." Dr. Blake nodded understandingly. "That's perfectly normal. Therapy can be intimidating at first, but it's a safe space for you to explore your thoughts and feelings. Why don't we start with you telling me a bit about what's been going on in your life?" Rachel took a deep breath and began to speak. She told him about her engagement to Ethan, about the infidelities and the guilt that had plagued her since. She spoke about the emptiness she felt, the restless nights, and the constant sense of purposelessness. Dr. Blake listened intently, nodding occasionally, and when she finished, he leaned forward, his expression serious but kind. "Rachel, it's clear that you've been carrying a heavy burden. Therapy is about understanding those burdens and finding ways to lighten them. We need to explore the reasons behind your actions and how you can move forward." Rachel nodded, feeling a mix of relief and apprehension. "I want to change, but I'm scared. What if I can't do it?" Dr. Blake smiled reassuringly. "Change is never easy, but it's possible. You're here because you want to change, and that's the first step. We'll work together to uncover the underlying issues and find a path forward. Remember, this is a journey, and every step you take brings you closer to the person you want to be." Rachel left the session feeling a sense of hope she hadn't felt in a long time. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time, she believed she could navigate it. The next few weeks were a blur of emotions and revelations. Each session with Dr. Blake peeled back another layer of Rachel's past, revealing the insecurities and fears that had driven her actions. She learned about attachment styles and how her tumultuous childhood had shaped her view of relationships. One afternoon, after a particularly intense session, Rachel sat in a nearby cafe, sipping on a hot chocolate as she reflected on what she had learned. Dr. Blake had helped her see that her infidelities were a way of seeking validation, a misguided attempt to fill the void left by her parents' neglect. It was a painful realization, but also a liberating one. As she stared out the window at the bustling street, her phone buzzed with a message from Emily. "How's therapy going?" Rachel smiled and typed a quick reply. "It's tough, but I think it's helping. Thank you for pushing me to do this." Emily's response was immediate. "I'm so glad to hear that. You're strong, Rachel. You can get through this." Rachel felt a warmth in her chest, a sense of gratitude for the friends who had supported her through her darkest times. She knew she still had a long way to go, but for the first time, she felt like she was on the right path. A few weeks later, Rachel had her first group therapy session. Dr. Blake had suggested it as a way for her to connect with others who were going through similar struggles. Rachel was nervous, but she trusted Dr. Blake's judgment. The therapy room was set up with a circle of chairs, and as Rachel entered, she noticed a few other people already seated, each lost in their own thoughts. Dr. Blake greeted everyone warmly and introduced Rachel to the group. "This is Rachel. She's been working hard in her individual sessions, and I think she'll bring a lot to our group discussions." Rachel nodded shyly, taking a seat. The group members introduced themselves one by one, sharing brief glimpses into their lives and struggles. There was Karen, a middle-aged woman dealing with the aftermath of a messy divorce, Mike, a young man battling anxiety and depression, and Ryan, a man around Rachel's age who had experienced infidelity from the other side. As the session progressed, Rachel listened to the others' stories, feeling a sense of connection and understanding. When it was her turn to speak, she took a deep breath and began. "I've made a lot of mistakes in my relationships," she admitted. "I've hurt people, and I've hurt myself. I'm here because I want to understand why and how to change." Ryan, sitting across from her, nodded in understanding. "I know how you feel. I've been on the receiving end of that hurt, but I'm here because I want to learn to trust again." Dr. Blake guided the conversation, encouraging the group to support each other and share their insights. By the end of the session, Rachel felt a sense of camaraderie she hadn't expected. She realized that she wasn't alone in her struggles, and that gave her a renewed sense of hope. As the weeks went by, Rachel continued to attend both individual and group therapy sessions. She found herself opening up more, sharing her fears and insecurities with the group. Ryan became a steady presence in her life, offering support and understanding as they both navigated their paths to healing. One evening, after a particularly emotional session, Rachel and Ryan decided to grab a coffee together. They found a quiet corner in the cafe and talked for hours, sharing their stories and dreams for the future. "Do you ever feel like you're finally starting to understand yourself?" Rachel asked, stirring her coffee thoughtfully. Ryan nodded. "Yeah, I do. It's hard, but I think therapy is helping me see things more clearly. I'm starting to believe that I can change, that we all can." Rachel smiled, feeling a sense of comfort in his words. "Me too. For the first time, I feel like I'm not defined by my past. I'm more than my mistakes." As they left the cafe, the town was quiet, the streets lit by the soft glow of street lamps. Rachel felt a sense of peace she hadn't felt in years. She knew the journey ahead would be challenging, but she also knew she had the strength to face it. With each step, she was moving closer to the person she wanted to be, and that made all the difference. Rachel felt a mixture of anxiety and excitement as she walked into the therapy group session. It was her third meeting, and she was starting to feel more comfortable with the process. The therapy room, with its circle of chairs and soft lighting, had become a sanctuary of sorts, a place where she could let her guard down and explore her feelings without judgment. As she took her usual seat by the window, she noticed Ryan entering the room. He had a calm, steady presence that she found comforting. Ryan was about her age, with short brown hair and a kind smile that reached his eyes. They had exchanged a few words in previous sessions, but tonight, she felt a stronger connection. Dr. Blake began the session with his usual warm greeting. "Welcome back, everyone. Tonight, I'd like us to focus on the relationships that have shaped who we are today. These could be positive or negative, but they all play a role in how we view ourselves and others." Rachel listened as the others shared their stories. Karen spoke about her ex-husband and the painful divorce that had left her feeling betrayed and unworthy. Mike opened up about his struggles with anxiety, which stemmed from a lack of support during his childhood. When it was Rachel's turn, she took a deep breath and started to speak. "I've been thinking a lot about my past relationships," Rachel began, her voice steady. "I used to see them as just fleeting moments, without any real significance. But now I realize they were a way for me to avoid facing my own fears and insecurities." Ryan, sitting across from her, nodded in understanding. "I get that. I've always had trust issues because of what happened in my past relationships. It's hard to let go of that fear." Rachel glanced at him, feeling a sense of solidarity. "Yeah, it is. But I think being here, talking about it, helps. It makes me feel less alone." Dr. Blake guided the conversation, helping them delve deeper into their feelings and experiences. By the end of the session, Rachel felt a sense of relief. She had shared her thoughts and fears, and in doing so, she had taken another step toward healing. As the group dispersed, Ryan approached Rachel. "Hey, Rachel, would you like to grab a coffee or something? I think it would be nice to talk more, outside of these sessions." Rachel smiled, feeling a flutter of excitement. "Sure, I'd like that." They found a cozy cafe a few blocks away. The place was warm and inviting, with soft music playing in the background and the rich aroma of coffee filling the air. Rachel and Ryan chose a quiet corner and ordered their drinks. As they settled into their seats, Rachel felt a sense of ease she hadn't experienced in a long time. "So," Ryan began, stirring his coffee, "tell me more about yourself. Outside of therapy, I mean." Rachel laughed softly. "Well, there's not much to tell. I'm trying to figure things out, like everyone else, I guess." "What about you?" Ryan smiled. "I'm a graphic designer. I love my job, but it can be stressful at times. Therapy has been a big help for me, too. It's given me a new perspective on a lot of things." They talked for hours, sharing stories about their lives, their interests, and their hopes for the future. Rachel found herself opening up to Ryan in a way she hadn't with anyone else. There was a genuine connection between them, a shared understanding of the struggles they were both facing. As they left the cafe, Ryan walked Rachel to her car. The night was cool, and the stars were visible in the clear sky above. They stood by her car for a moment, the conversation slowing to a comfortable silence. "I'm really glad we did this," Ryan said, his voice sincere. "It's nice to talk to someone who understands." Rachel smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest. "Me too, Ryan. Thank you." Over the next few weeks, Rachel and Ryan continued to see each other outside of therapy. They met for coffee, went for walks in the park, and even attended a local art exhibit together. Each time they met, their bond grew stronger, and Rachel felt a sense of hope she hadn't felt in years. One evening, as they walked through the park, Ryan turned to Rachel with a serious expression. "Rachel, I need to tell you something." Rachel's heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" Ryan took a deep breath. "I've really enjoyed spending time with you, and I think you're an amazing person. But I'm also scared. I've been hurt before, and I don't want to go through that again." Rachel reached out and took his hand, her eyes meeting his. "I understand, Ryan. I'm scared too, but I think we owe it to ourselves to try. We've both come so far, and we deserve to be happy." Ryan squeezed her hand, a small smile playing on his lips. "You're right. Let's take it one step at a time." Their relationship continued to blossom, but it wasn't without its challenges. There were moments of doubt and fear, times when the ghosts of their past threatened to overshadow the present. But each time, they faced those fears together, supporting and encouraging each other. One rainy afternoon, Rachel and Ryan sat in the cafe, watching the raindrops race down the window. The atmosphere was cozy, the sound of rain creating a soothing backdrop to their conversation. "I've been thinking a lot about what Dr. Blake said," Rachel mused, sipping her coffee. "About how our past relationships shape us. I don't want my past to define me anymore." Ryan nodded thoughtfully. "Me neither. I want to move forward, to build something new and positive. And I want to do that with you." Rachel smiled, feeling a surge of affection for him. "I want that too, Ryan. I really do." As they continued to talk, Rachel felt a sense of peace. She knew there would still be challenges ahead, but with Ryan by her side, she felt stronger, more capable of facing whatever came their way. That evening, as they walked back to their cars, Ryan stopped and turned to Rachel. "I know we're taking things slow, but I want you to know that I care about you, Rachel. A lot." Rachel's heart swelled with emotion. "I care about you too, Ryan. More than I ever thought I could." They stood there for a moment, the rain falling softly around them, and in that moment, Rachel felt a deep sense of gratitude. She had found someone who understood her, who accepted her for who she was, and who was willing to walk this journey with her. As the weeks turned into months, Rachel and Ryan continued to grow closer. Their relationship was built on a foundation of trust and mutual respect, and they both worked hard to nurture it. They attended therapy sessions together, supporting each other through the ups and downs, and celebrated their victories, no matter how small. One sunny afternoon, Rachel and Ryan sat on a bench in the park, watching the children play and the dogs chase after frisbees. It was a peaceful moment, a reminder of how far they had come. "I've been thinking about starting a new project," Ryan said, breaking the comfortable silence. "Oh, what kind of project?" Rachel asked, curious. "I want to create a series of illustrations that tell our story," Ryan explained. "The journey we've been on, the challenges we've faced, and the love we've found. I think it could be really powerful." Rachel's eyes lit up with excitement. "That sounds amazing, Ryan. I'd love to help in any way I can." Ryan smiled, taking her hand in his. "I knew you'd say that. We make a great team, Rachel." As they sat there, hand in hand, Rachel felt a sense of contentment. She had found someone who believed in her, who saw the best in her even when she couldn't see it herself. And together, they were building a future filled with hope and possibility. One evening, as they sat together on Rachel's balcony, watching the sunset, Ryan turned to her with a serious expression. "Rachel, there's something I need to tell you." Rachel's heart skipped a beat. "What is it, Ryan?" He took a deep breath, his eyes searching hers. "I love you, Rachel. I've loved you for a while now, and I needed you to know." Rachel felt tears welling up in her eyes, her heart overflowing with emotion. "I love you too, Ryan. More than I ever thought possible." They embraced, the sunset casting a warm glow over them, and in that moment, Rachel knew that she had found something truly special. She had found love, acceptance, and a partner who was willing to walk beside her on this journey. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, Rachel and Ryan continued to build their life together. They faced challenges, celebrated victories, and supported each other through it all. And with each passing day, their love grew stronger, a testament to the power of healing and the strength of the human spirit. Rachel felt a knot of anxiety in her stomach as she sat at a small, wooden table in the corner of the cafe. The place was cozy, with warm lighting and the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee filling the air. She checked her phone for the time, then glanced toward the door. Ethan would be arriving any minute now. It had taken her weeks to build up the courage to contact him. Their breakup had been messy, filled with anger and hurt on both sides. But Dr. Blake had encouraged her to seek closure, to apologize and acknowledge the pain she had caused. She knew it was the right thing to do, but that didn't make it any easier. The bell above the cafe door jingled, and Rachel looked up to see Ethan walk in. He looked the same as she remembered, tall, with dark hair and a strong jawline. His expression was guarded, his eyes scanning the room until they settled on her. He made his way over, his movements stiff and deliberate. "Hi, Ethan," Rachel said, standing up as he approached. "Hi, Rachel," he replied, his voice neutral. They exchanged a brief, awkward hug before sitting down across from each other. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me," Rachel began, her hands trembling slightly as she clasped them together on the table. Ethan nodded, his expression unreadable. I have to admit, I was surprised when you reached out. I wasn't sure what to expect. Rachel took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. I know this isn't easy, and I appreciate you being here. I asked you to meet because I wanted to apologize for everything that happened between us. I know I hurt you, and I'm truly sorry for the pain I caused. Ethan's gaze softened slightly, but he remained cautious. Rachel, we both made mistakes. But what you did, it wasn't just a mistake. It was a betrayal. I know, Rachel said, her voice trembling. And I take full responsibility for that. I was selfish and impulsive, and I didn't think about the consequences of my actions. I've been going to therapy, trying to understand why I did what I did and how I can change. Ethan leaned back in his chair, his eyes searching hers. Why now, Rachel? Why apologize after all this time? Rachel looked down at her hands, her mind racing. Because I want to move forward. I want to be a better person, and I can't do that without acknowledging my past and the people I've hurt. You were a big part of my life, Ethan. I loved you, and I know I didn't show it in the right way, but I did. And I'm sorry for everything. Ethan sighed, running a hand through his hair. I loved you too, Rachel. And it hurt like hell when you betrayed me. But hearing you say this, it means something. It doesn't change the past, but it helps. Rachel felt a weight lift off her shoulders at his words. It wasn't full forgiveness, but it was a step toward closure. Thank you, Ethan. That means a lot to me. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I hope you can find some peace. They sat in silence for a moment, the tension between them easing slightly. Rachel felt a sense of relief, knowing she had taken an important step in her healing process. So, what now? Ethan asked, breaking the silence. Rachel shrugged slightly. I'm not sure. I'm taking things one day at a time, focusing on therapy and trying to rebuild my life. I've met someone new, someone who understands me in my past. He's helping me see things differently. Ethan nodded thoughtfully. I'm glad to hear that, Rachel. I really am. We both deserve to be happy, to find someone who makes us better. Rachel smiled, a genuine smile that reached her eyes. Thank you, Ethan. I hope you find that happiness too. They finished their coffee, chatting about lighter topics, and by the time they left the cafe, Rachel felt a sense of closure she hadn't thought possible. They parted ways with a mutual understanding, and Rachel knew that while their chapter had ended, it had done so on a note of resolution. Rachel walked back to her car, her mind buzzing with the events of the meeting. She felt lighter, as if a burden she had been carrying for years had finally been lifted. She knew there was still a long road ahead, but this was a significant milestone in her journey. She got into her car and pulled out her phone, sending a quick message to Ryan. Just met with Ethan. It went better than I expected. I'll tell you all about it tonight. Ryan's reply was immediate. I'm glad to hear that. Can't wait to see you. Less than 3. Rachel smiled as she started the car, feeling a warmth in her chest. She drove home, the town's familiar streets passing by in a blur. She was eager to share the experience with Ryan, to talk through the emotions and the closure she had found. That evening, Rachel and Ryan sat on her balcony, wrapped in blankets to ward off the chill. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the town. Rachel recounted the meeting with Ethan, sharing every detail, every emotion. I was so nervous, Rachel admitted, leaning against Ryan. But it felt good to finally say everything I needed to say. Ryan squeezed her hand reassuringly. You were brave, Rachel. It takes a lot of courage to face your past like that. Rachel looked up at him, her eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you, Ryan, for everything. I couldn't have done this without you. Ryan smiled, his eyes soft with affection. We're in this together, remember? I'm proud of you. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun dip below the horizon. Rachel felt a sense of peace, knowing that she was moving forward, healing the wounds of her past and building a future filled with hope and possibility. The weeks that followed were filled with continued growth and self-discovery. Rachel and Ryan attended therapy sessions together, exploring their pasts and their hopes for the future. They supported each other through the challenges, celebrating their progress and comforting each other in moments of doubt. One evening, after a particularly insightful therapy session, Rachel and Ryan decided to visit the bookstore next to Dr. Blake's office. The shop was small and charming, with shelves lined with books of all genres. Rachel wandered through the aisles, her fingers brushing over the spines of the books, feeling a sense of calm. "Look at this," Ryan said, holding up a book on emotional intelligence. "I think this could be really helpful." Rachel nodded, taking the book from him and flipping through the pages. "Yeah, it looks great. Let's get it." They left the bookstore with a few new books in tow, excited to delve into them and continue their journey of self-improvement. As they walked back to their cars, Rachel felt a renewed sense of determination. She was committed to this path, to growing and healing, both for herself and for her relationship with Ryan. One sunny afternoon, Rachel received a message from Ethan. "Hey, Rachel, I've been thinking a lot about our conversation. I just wanted to thank you again for reaching out. It really helped me find some closure too. Wishing you all the best." Rachel smiled as she read the message, feeling a sense of gratitude. She replied, keeping it short but sincere. "Thank you, Ethan. I wish you all the best as well." She put down her phone, feeling a sense of closure and peace. The past no longer held the same power over her. She had faced it, acknowledged it, and was now moving forward. Rachel stood outside Dr. Blake's office, taking a moment to collect herself before her session. The air was crisp, hinting at the change of seasons, and the sound of leaves rustling in the wind was calming. She had been feeling a sense of anticipation all day, eager to delve deeper into her therapy and explore the progress she had made. She entered the familiar building, greeted by the friendly receptionist, and took her usual seat in the waiting room. It wasn't long before Dr. Blake appeared, welcoming her with a warm smile. "Good afternoon, Rachel. How are you feeling today?" he asked as they settled into their chairs in his cozy office. Rachel took a deep breath, feeling a mix of emotions. "I'm doing well, Dr. Blake. I've been thinking a lot about our last session and the insights we discussed. I feel like I'm starting to understand myself better, but there's still so much I need to work on." Dr. Blake nodded encouragingly. "That's perfectly normal, Rachel. Self-discovery is a continuous journey, and the fact that you're committed to this process is a significant step forward. What specific areas would you like to focus on today?" Rachel thought for a moment, then began to speak. "I want to explore my attachment style more. I've been reading about it and trying to understand how it has influenced my relationships. I think it's crucial for me to address this if I want to build healthier connections moving forward." Dr. Blake smiled. "That's an excellent topic. Understanding our attachment style can provide valuable insights into our behavior in relationships. Let's start by discussing what you've learned and how it resonates with your experiences." Rachel spent the next hour discussing her findings and reflections with Dr. Blake. She talked about her fear of abandonment, her tendency to push people away when they got too close, and the underlying insecurities that had driven her actions. Dr. Blake listened intently, offering insights and guiding her through the complex emotions that surfaced. By the end of the session, Rachel felt a sense of clarity. She had uncovered another layer of her past and gained a deeper understanding of herself. As she left Dr. Blake's office, she felt a renewed sense of determination to continue her journey of self-improvement. That evening, Rachel and Ryan sat together on her balcony, wrapped in blankets to ward off the chill. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the town, and they could hear the distant sounds of children playing and dogs barking. It was a peaceful moment, one that Rachel cherished. "I had a really productive session with Dr. Blake today," Rachel said, leaning against Ryan. "We talked about attachment styles and how they've influenced my relationships. It was eye-opening." Ryan squeezed her hand. "That's great, Rachel. I'm glad you're finding these sessions helpful. I've been thinking a lot about our journey, too. I feel like we're both growing and learning so much." Rachel nodded, feeling a sense of connection and understanding. "Yeah, we are. I'm so grateful for your support, Ryan. It means the world to me." Ryan smiled, his eyes filled with warmth. "We're in this together, Rachel. I believe in us." Over the next few weeks, Rachel continued to delve deeper into her therapy and personal growth. She attended additional personal development workshops, read extensively about emotional intelligence and relationship dynamics, and practiced mindfulness and self-care. One weekend, she and Ryan attended a workshop on building healthy relationships. The workshop was held in a serene retreat center on the outskirts of town, surrounded by lush greenery and peaceful walking trails. They spent the weekend learning about effective communication, conflict resolution, and the importance of trust and mutual respect in relationships. During one of the workshop sessions, the facilitator asked the participants to pair up and practice active listening. Rachel and Ryan sat facing each other, their knees touching, as they took turns sharing their thoughts and feelings. "I've realized that I need to be more open and vulnerable with you," Rachel said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I've been so afraid of getting hurt that I've built walls around myself. But I don't want to do that anymore. I want to let you in, fully and completely." Ryan listened attentively, his expression soft and understanding. "I appreciate your honesty, Rachel. I've felt the same way. I've been afraid of getting hurt again, but being with you has shown me that it's worth the risk. I want to build a future with you, and that means being open and vulnerable." They spent the rest of the weekend deepening their connection, exploring their hopes and dreams for the future, and reaffirming their commitment to each other. The retreat was a transformative experience, one that brought them even closer together and strengthened their bond. As the weeks turned into months, Rachel and Ryan continued to support each other in their personal growth. They attended therapy sessions together, read books and articles on self-improvement, and practiced mindfulness and self-care. Their relationship flourished, built on a foundation of trust, understanding, and mutual respect. One sunny afternoon, Rachel received an unexpected phone call from her mother. They had been estranged for years, their relationship strained by past misunderstandings and unresolved conflicts. Rachel hesitated for a moment before answering, her heart pounding in her chest. "Hello, Mom," Rachel said, her voice trembling slightly. "Hi, Rachel," her mother replied, her voice filled with emotion. "I've been thinking a lot about you and our relationship. I know we've had our differences, but I want to make things right. Can we meet and talk?" Rachel felt a mix of emotions, relief, hope, and apprehension. She had longed for reconciliation with her mother but was also wary of reopening old wounds. After a moment of contemplation, she agreed. "Yes, Mom, I'd like that. Let's meet." They decided to meet at a quiet cafe, a neutral place where they could talk without distractions. Rachel arrived early, her mind racing with thoughts and emotions. She took a seat at a corner table, the familiar scent of coffee and the soft murmur of conversations providing a sense of comfort. Her mother arrived shortly after, looking nervous but determined. They exchanged a brief, awkward hug before sitting down across from each other. There was a moment of silence, both of them unsure of how to begin. "Rachel, I want to start by saying I'm sorry," her mother began, her voice filled with sincerity. "I know I wasn't always there for you, and I made mistakes. I've been reflecting on our relationship, and I realize now how much I've hurt you." Rachel felt tears welling up in her eyes. "Mom, I've missed you. I've been going to therapy, trying to understand myself better and heal from the past. I want to mend our relationship too." They spent the next hour talking openly and honestly, sharing their feelings and acknowledging the pain they had both experienced. It was a difficult conversation, but it was also cathartic. For the first time in years, they were truly listening to each other and seeking to understand. By the end of their meeting, Rachel felt a sense of hope. It was the beginning of a new chapter in their relationship, one built on honesty, forgiveness, and a willingness to move forward. As Rachel continued her journey of self-improvement and healing, she felt a growing sense of confidence and inner peace. She had faced her past, acknowledged her mistakes, and taken steps to build a better future. Her relationship with Ryan was flourishing, and she was reconnecting with her family. One evening, as they sat together on her balcony, watching the sunset, Ryan turned to her with a thoughtful expression. "Rachel, I've been thinking about our future. I know we're both on this journey of healing and growth, and I want us to continue building our life together." Rachel smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest. "I want that too, Ryan. I believe in us and the future we're creating." Ryan took her hand, his eyes filled with love and determination. Let's keep moving forward, one step at a time, supporting each other every step of the way. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the town, Rachel felt a sense of contentment and hope. She knew that the journey ahead would have its challenges, but she also knew that she had the strength, resilience, and support to face them. With Ryan by her side and a renewed sense of purpose, she was ready to embrace whatever the future held. Rachel stood at the entrance of the community center, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Today was the first meeting of the support group she and Ryan had decided to start. Inspired by their journey and the help they had received, they wanted to create a space for others to share their stories, find support, and work towards healing. Ryan was already inside, setting up chairs in a circle. The room was warm and inviting, with soft lighting and a table at the back filled with snacks and drinks. Rachel joined him, arranging some final details before the attendees arrived. "I think we're ready," Ryan said, giving her an encouraging smile. Rachel nodded, feeling a surge of gratitude for his unwavering support. "I hope this group can help others as much as therapy has helped us." As people began to trickle in, Rachel greeted each one with a warm smile and introduced herself. There were familiar faces from their therapy group and some new ones, each carrying their own stories and struggles. By the time everyone had arrived, the room was filled with a diverse group of individuals, all seeking connection and healing. Ryan began the meeting with a brief introduction. "Welcome, everyone. We're so glad you're here. This group is a safe space for sharing, supporting each other, and finding ways to move forward in our journeys. Rachel and I started this group because we believe in the power of community and the importance of having a support system." Rachel then took a deep breath and shared her story, speaking candidly about her past mistakes, her therapy journey, and the progress she had made. Ryan followed, sharing his experiences and the growth he had witnessed in both himself and Rachel. As the evening progressed, each person had a chance to share their story. There were tears, laughter, and moments of profound connection. The group members offered words of encouragement and empathy, creating a sense of solidarity and understanding. Over the next few months, the support group became a cornerstone of Rachel and Ryan's lives. They met weekly, each session bringing new insights and strengthening the bonds between the members. Rachel found immense fulfillment in helping others navigate their journeys, and the group became a source of strength and inspiration for her. One evening, after a particularly powerful session, Rachel and Ryan stayed behind to clean up. As they worked, Rachel felt a deep sense of contentment. "I can't believe how much this group has grown. It's amazing to see how everyone is supporting each other and making progress." Ryan nodded, his eyes filled with pride. "It's incredible, Rachel. You've created something truly special here." Rachel smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest. "We did this together, Ryan. And I'm so grateful for you." As the seasons changed, Rachel continued to deepen her personal growth. She attended workshops, read extensively, and practiced mindfulness and self-care. Her relationship with Ryan flourished, built on a foundation of trust, understanding, and mutual support. One sunny afternoon, Rachel received a call from her mother. They had been rebuilding their relationship, taking small steps towards reconciliation. "Hi, Rachel. I was wondering if you'd like to come over for dinner this weekend. I'd love to spend some time together and catch up." Rachel felt a surge of happiness. "I'd love that, Mom. I'll be there." Dinner at her mother's house was a turning point in their relationship. They shared stories, laughed, and talked openly about their feelings. Rachel felt a sense of healing and connection that she had longed for. It was a new beginning, a chance to build a healthier, more loving relationship. As Rachel drove home that evening, she felt a deep sense of gratitude. She had come so far on her journey, and the support of her family, Ryan, and the therapy group had been instrumental in her growth. She knew there would still be challenges ahead, but she also knew she had the strength and resilience to face them. One evening, as Rachel and Ryan sat together on her balcony, watching the sunset, Ryan turned to her with a thoughtful expression. "Rachel, I've been thinking a lot about our future. I know we've both come a long way, and I want to continue building our life together. I love you, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you." Rachel felt tears of joy welling up in her eyes. "I love you too, Ryan. I can't imagine my life without you. Let's keep moving forward, one step at a time, supporting each other every step of the way." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the town, Rachel felt a sense of peace and fulfillment. She had faced her past, embraced her present, and was looking forward to a future filled with love, hope, and endless possibilities. With Ryan by her side and a renewed sense of purpose, Rachel was ready to embrace whatever the future held. Together, they had built a life filled with meaning and connection, a testament to the power of healing and the strength of the human spirit. And so, Rachel's journey of self-discovery and growth continued, marked by moments of joy, challenges, and profound transformation. Her story was one of resilience, love, and the unwavering belief that change was possible. With each step forward, she became more confident in her ability to create the life she had always dreamed of, surrounded by the people who loved and supported her. Rachel had found her path, and with it, the peace and happiness she had always longed for. As Rachel stands on the balcony, gazing at the setting sun, she reflects on the incredible journey she has undertaken. From the chaos of her past to the calm of her present, she has transformed her life through self-discovery and healing. With Ryan by her side, she has rebuilt her relationships, mended her heart, and found a sense of peace she never thought possible. Together, they face the future with hope, knowing that love and resilience can conquer even the deepest wounds. Thank you for joining us on this powerful journey of redemption and growth in Healing the Heart of a Cheating Wife. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring content.